Hello, welcome to a tiny podcast hosted by yours truly, Sage Harrington. I am a lover of lots of different tiny things, including the ukulele. I am a ukulele player and a singer. If you are watching on YouTube, I have a tiny chihuahua here who lives with me. Her name is Bug, also a tiny thing. And then you can also see, if you're on YouTube, with this tiny water glass that I put out for my tiny dog because she loves drinking from it. I have a whole wall of my tiny instruments behind me. And here we are. A cute and wacky podcast for you. Again, my name is Sage Harrington, and this is episode number 1. I have never done this before. I have a little outline here. I have some segments that I would like to go through. I am really excited to share my love for some vintage jazz tunes in the first segment called Rehearsal. So Rehearsal is a segment where I rehearse. I'm going to bring you into my studio and I am going to play for you a song that I've been working on lately. Today, I would like to share with you a lovely little tune called Sweet Lorraine. And I'm doing it in the key of C. So here is Sweet Lorraine, written in 1928 by Cliff Burwell. Here we go. I just found joy. I'm as happy as a baby boy with another brand new choo-choo toy when I'm with my sweet Lorraine. A pair of eyes that are bluer than the summer skies. When you're with her, you will realize why I love my sweet Lorraine. I'm so happy when it's raining, I don't miss the sun, though it's in my sweetie smile. And to think that I'm the lucky one who will lead her down the aisle. Each night I pray that nobody steals her heart away. I can't wait until that lucky day when I marry sweet Lorraine. I adore that song so much. Thank you for letting me play it. What I wanted to do next is one that is a little bit fresher for me since it is called Rehearsal. There is quite the possibility here that something will go wrong. So I wanted to keep true to the idea of rehearsal here and do a song that I have been listening to for years, especially the Ella Fitzgerald version. I love that version so much. But there's a lot of chord changes in this one. This is I Am Beginning to See the Light, written by many folks, including Duke Ellington, on the co-write list. Here we go. See, it's already going awry. Here's the turnaround. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine. Okay, see, it is going awry. Oh no. The first line of lyrics is, I never cared much for moonlit skies. 1, 2, 1, 2. I never cared much for moonlit skies. that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see the light. I never went in for afterglow or candlelight on the mistletoe. But now that the lamps are burning low, I'm beginning to see the light. Used to ramble through the park, shadow boxing in the dark. Now you came and caused a spark. That's a 4-alarm fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Okay. All right, more time in the rehearsal room will certainly happen. Thank you for joining me in my studio today. This is the part of the show I just decided now, where if you're watching on YouTube, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and so I'm just going to give you the charts that I used for this. Okay, so I'm going to give you Sweet Lorraine first. This is Sweet Lorraine. I did it in the key of C. I'm going to give you a correction here on my chart, actually. So go to YouTube, screenshot this image so that you can have it. And then when you have it, change this C chord here to an A minor chord. You'll want to do that. I think that's a good idea. So change it in the first A section. Also change it in the second A section, because that is a change that I would make. Then I am going to share the other chart for I'm beginning to see the light, and then you can take a screenshot of this and you can play it at home. Maybe definitely a lot of chord shapes in this one. It makes for a wild ride. A lot of fun. Wow, I love singing this song. There is Ella's voice in my head when I sing this. If you're familiar with that version, I'm sure you can hear it in what I did. I just, if only I could scat like Ella Fitzgerald. I gotta put the hours in, man. I gotta put the hours in. I was gonna do another round of this one, but I gotta spend some more time in my private rehearsal room first. Maybe we'll do this next week. Okay. So for the next segment, I wanted to do a little bit of a little waltz down memory lane. So in 2012, I released my first album called Maybe. If you're keeping track, that is 13 years ago, and I was doing some sharing about this period of my life on Instagram recently. And I had committed to sharing my past work, my previous albums, for 7 days. I didn't make it the whole 7 days because all of these feelings about my life started coming up and I couldn't take it anymore. I needed a break. But one of the things that I did over the past week is that I went through and I collected like a little rat. Do rats collect things? Maybe they don't. Maybe I mean like a squirrel or something. Some little like cute tiny creature in its little den, its warm, cozy little den, collecting scraps. That was me. I was collecting scraps from my past lives. Here's a scrap from my past life. I'm going to share my screen again. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share the article that was written about my first album. And then I wanted to the psychoanalysis style. Just like, I just read this. I just read this and I was like, wow, this explains so much about why I am the way that I am. Okay, here we go. This is a walk down memory lane. This is a piece written about my first album by Albuquerque, New Mexico's first poet laureate, Hakeem Bellamy. Okay, the title is Sage Sings Serious Fun, and then there's a selection, a quote from from the lyrics of the title track, which I'll sing for you. Well, maybe you would like me better if I had longer hair or greener eyes. And maybe you would like me better if I didn't carry this weight on my thighs. And maybe you would like me better if my windowsills weren't in places for flies to die. And maybe you would like me better if your girlfriend didn't wear twice my bra size. It just occurred to me that I could have played it. I haven't played this song in so long. I fell off a chair. True to myself when you were right there. True to myself, I staggered and stared at you. True to myself when I was the most sober person there. But you. True to myself, I stopped. Yeah, and then there's more. And then there's the chorus. Well, maybe you would like me better if I had longer hair or greener eyes. And maybe you would like me better if I didn't carry this weight on my thighs. And maybe you would like me better if my windowsills were in places for flies to die. And maybe you would like me better if your girlfriend didn't wear twice my bra size. Okay. Something that I didn't realize until I realized it afterwards, shortly afterwards, within the same year, that the the topic of most of the songs on the album is, why doesn't anyone love me? Why don't you just love me? That's the thesis statement of this song and of many of the other songs on the album. Okay. And keeping that in mind, let's just go with the first sentence. Sage Harrington does not sing sad songs. I was pausing to take a sip of tea there. That is hilarious. That is a hilarious thing to say. That is something that I told Hakeem in our interview, because I didn't realize how deeply tragic it is to feel like you're incapable of receiving love. Wow. Wow. I'm continuing to read the article. Second sentence. Here we go. With her new CD, Maybe 2012, currently available everywhere fine music is downloaded, Sage describes her music as indie grass, complete with catchy melodies, ringing dobros, and weird lyrics, but not sad ones. Well, as I have just claimed, I think I have revised my previous thoughts on what constitutes a sad lyric. I think I was going for a thing with like indie grass. I was trying to like go for a branding kind of title. Rachel Goodrich had like a good one around 2012 that I really liked. Shakeabilly is what she called her style at that point. And so I was kind of going for something like this. I went with indie grass because I considered myself an indie musician, and then the grass was the bluegrass that my boyfriend's band at the time, they appeared on half of the tracks of that album, and so I just went with bluegrass because I was spending a lot of time in bluegrass jams at that time in my life. Okay. With a handful of singing lessons under her belt, Sage began her singing career where most of us begin our singing careers, in the car. I'm sure many of you were thinking showers, which is also an acceptable answer according to Alex Trebek. So funny. Yeah. I would sing in the car. Okay, so now I'm quoting myself. I would sing in the car in a joking way, loud and obnoxious, but never with any sincerity, especially when other people were around, Harrington told Local IQ, which is the publication where this was published. I was scared of being judged inadequate. Oh, baby Sage. Oh, it's so hard. I know. It's so hard. Wow. I just look back at this and I'm like, holy crap. I have really come so far. Like, oh, it's just so the crushing weight of self-judgment. Oh man, I have a lot of compassion and tenderness for this tiny person. This tiny 23-year-old person here with this bright red lipstick and the wind blowing her little self-cut hair cut all into her face. Okay, I'll continue to read. Then, one day, Harrington turned off the radio so she could hear herself. Her vocal coach said she had a pretty but nervous voice. I remember, I must have, okay, so I spent a lot of time when I was in my teenage years driving myself around rural Ohio. Not around Ohio, just from my house to my dance lessons. And so I spent a lot of time in the car because the dance studio was 45 minutes away from where I grew up. And so that's a lot of time to be like, oh, am I maybe brave enough to start singing on my own now? And then I was so nervous to ask my parents for voice lessons. And then I had my first voice lesson and my voice teacher was like, okay, go ahead. I want to know like what we're working with here. And I was like, are you serious? You're just like cold. I'm just gonna do something now. This is so horrible. Yeah, it's just like a way to jump in. So I jumped in. Okay, so basically he like put me in that situation that was like fairly nerve-wracking. And then he was like, you sound nervous. And I was like, well, that's probably because I'm nervous. Okay, at some point I just practiced the nervousness out of it, she said, meaning me. I think it may have something to do with the fact that, okay, let's go back. At some point I just practiced the nervousness out of it. Oh, honey, I took that on as like a trait that my voice had. It was just that moment. It was a nerve-wracking moment. Oh, baby. Oh. Okay. I think it may have had I'm quoting again. I think it may have had something to do with the fact that I don't write sappy, depressing songs. Not to say that I dislike depressing songs. I'm not sure how many happy songs Andrew Bird has written. I just can't take myself seriously in that way. Excuse me. I think I do. I think these songs were. I think there was like a stand-up comic kind of like the tragedy that needs to happen in order for something to be funny. These songs on this album are like a little wacky. They're a little weird. But I just think it's so interesting how much I was like distancing myself from things that were sad because I mentioned Andrew Bird in this interview. I love Andrew Bird so much, so deeply, so intensely. His songs, I think it's because his songs are so overtly tragic and intense in some ways that it was just like all of my constipated sadness of my youth had no choice but to like be expressed in those moments when I was listening to his music. I was not raised in a family of origin. Hi, Mom and Dad, if you're listening, by the way. I know you did your best. And that is true. You did your best. And I was not encouraged as a young person to express the way that I really felt about things. And so that meant that I got so good at hiding my negative emotions. And it really has been a really like eye-opening journey the past few years as I've been like softening the calloused layers of my heart. Okay, so I couldn't take myself seriously in 2012. But serious she is, Hakeem Bellamy continues. Seriously fun. Complete with her own kit of Regina Spektor-style mouth-made sound effects that she developed during a 2-year stint of Friday lunch concerts at downtown Java Joe's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Harrington giggles and bubbles on stage. Well, ain't that the truth? I think there has been a fair amount of giggling here in this podcast episode so far. You've heard it. You've heard it here. You've heard it here today. The giggling cannot be contained. Let me just say, as a side note, Regina Spektor. Good Lord, I love her. Clearly, Andrew Bird and Regina Spektor are in that class of musicians that hit me at that formative time of the late teens, early 20s, before your brain fully congeals. I'm sure that's the scientific anatomical term for that when that happens. I love them both so much. This is a little side note. I had Andrew Bird's song Pulaski at Night as my alarm on my phone for years. It makes a really intense kind of nerve-wracking alarm. I changed it to Regina Spektor's Better, which is much more uplifting and energizing as a way to wake up in the morning. Okay, so yeah, I ended up playing, I'm going back to the article now, I played for 3 years, every single Friday at Java Joe's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I really loved it there. What I wouldn't give at this moment for breakfast burrito with red chili and those giant ass potatoes that they put in there. Okay, continuing with the article. Equal parts ukulele, fiddle, vocal range, and charm, you can witness Harrington's story-like songs on Sunday, July 1st at the Il Vicino Canteen. She'll be accompanied by her Dusty Britches, Dustin Orbison of the Squash Blossom Boys, who also appears on her album. So yeah, that was just the Sunday, July 1st, 2012 was the day that the CD was released. And then there is my website. Oh, thank you, Hakeem, for writing this. It has been a wild trip down memory lane for me. So much. So, okay. This is a segment called An Immigrant's Tale. That's me. I grew up in the U.S., I spent most of my adult years in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is where I first grabbed hold of the ukulele, or perhaps it grabbed hold of me and my heart. But in this segment, what I would like to do is to share with you some tidbits of my life as an immigrant, an American living in now France. So I have lived in France for a couple months now, And what I would like to share with you today is a sentence that I wish I could have said to the neighborhood baker as I bought bread this morning. But, you know, you're under pressure. You just can't think of the words, or you just don't know them. I didn't know some of these words. It was impossible to say them. Here's a sentence I wish I had said in French. Après 3 ans de vie en Europe, je ne peux toujours pas compter les euros. And so that means after 3 years of living in Europe, I still can't count euros. The coins are different. I can't count them. One of those tiny, frustrating aspects of being an immigrant. It's like the tiniest complaint. It is the tiniest complaint. But it's like one of those little like nagging things that it's like, I just want to be fast in the line. And if I can't be fast, then I want to be charming and say something funny and self-deprecating. And it's just, I just need more time. If you speak French, please go into the comments on YouTube and correct me on this sentence. I am learning. I'm learning. Okay, I think we have reached today the final segment, which is just my promo segment. So my newest single, Rainy April Afternoon, is available on my website, sageharrington.com. You should go to sageharrington.com to get the single. You will not find it on streaming services. It is not available on streaming services. It's only available through my Bandcamp at this point. That's the only place it's available. So go to sageharrington.com and scroll down a little bit. You'll see the player where you can listen to the song, and then you can click through on the Bandcamp player and you can buy it. I also teach ukulele. I have a new group class coming up. And if you want to know more about the group class, if you're interested in learning ukulele with me, if you love golden era jazz tunes, if you love great American songbook adjacent songs, that is what I love, like the two tunes that I shared at the beginning today, send me an email, sage@ukuleleswingschool.com, and I will get you the information about the class. sage@ukuleleswingschool.com. Thank you so much for joining me for this first episode of a tiny podcast. I hope that you have a lovely day and appreciate the delightful little things in your life. So much love to you, and we'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.